all of these big dick deviants is all catching hell in 2024. It's up for all of them. It don't matter if you Diddy or whoever you is. TG Jakes, any of them. All lies will be exposed. That's all.
Rappers, they're all so tough until you hear their real name.
Yeah, or until you see them at a Puffy party.
Oh.
Then they're not tough no more. I'm surprised that the rap game is still alive because the masculinity that the rappers are supposed to portray. Perform fellatio on me, and you get your deal. That was what I heard while I was on Empire about some of the people in the business. And Petey Pablo, you remember Petey Pablo?
I know who that is.
Petey Pablo, talented writer, singer. Him and Young Buck wrote a song called Ho Is On. And in that song, back in about 2011 or 29 or something, because he called out all of the homosexuality taking place at those parties and those people, he was kicked out of the music business. No radio station would play his stuff. So you look for Petey Pablo, he's not around anymore. But that song, Ho It's On.
That nigga went into the booth and closed the curtain. Right? I'm like, what's going on? About 3 minutes later, the curtain over. Session over. Man, what the fuck you mean, session over? We just got here. Session was over. I don't know what that nigga went and said to that. But I guess he didn't want that nigga to say his name in the song. Period. Cut that whole session over. I ain't heard from Petey Pablo since.
The hip-hop game promises riches, fame, and respect. A golden ticket for anyone who can rise above the chaos. But behind the flashing lights, some say the whole dream is rigged. What if the same industry that builds stars also decides which ones to crush and erase? Katt Williams has been shouting about this for years, warning that behind the glamour lives something far darker. He's pointed at names from DaBaby to Petey Pablo and beyond, saying these artists aren't just battling rivals, they're fighting a hidden system designed to trap, test, and control them.
Did you see where Jay-Z and Beyonce's daughter, Blue Ivy? Surprised me, I actually met Beyonce before. That was one of the people be like, who you met? You know what I'm saying? It threw you out, like it took you back. Like, you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Beyonce, I was at a party at Diddy crib in LA. This was the beginning of 2020.
This goes way past music. It's about raw power. Look at the stories of artists who mysteriously fade from the spotlight. The signs are there. These vanishing acts rarely feel random, and the deeper you dig, the more it looks like silence isn't a choice. It's forced.
Club Shay Shay, yeah. I was trying to do something there that hadn't been done. I thought that I had figured out the algorithm mathematically, and I thought that I could show that. And when I wrote it out to kill the careers of the people I was talking about, right? But it was so vicious that I erased all of the knockout blows and just left the jabs so that the comic I'm talking about knows that I know your real story, motherfucker. I'm gonna tell this, but you know what else I know. So, yeah, I was...
Do you want to tell any of those stories now?
Well, I'm saying.
And those who push back, they don't just lose careers, they pay a heavy price. Katt Williams has never held back when talking about the industry. He straight up calls it a game of control. In his eyes, the system rewards those who bow down and crushes anyone who dares to resist. He insists that fame isn't earned, it's assigned. And if you step out of line, the same machine that crowned you can snatch it away overnight.
Who was that motherfucker? Petey Pablo. Petey Pablo was about to sign with Death Row. You feel me? And that nigga was in the booth and he said something. He put Suge's name in it. And Suge just walked through the door. It's like 30 niggas, Bloods and Crips. You could tell he was hating. And the tension was in that. I ain't with none of that Blood Crip, but I say Blood and Cuz in the same sentence. Nigga, I'm a real nigga. I'm an East Oakland nigga, so I can do that. Other can't. So the whole point is, you know, I ain't gonna disrespect you. If you're a Crip, I ain't gonna keep blooding you. If you're a Blood, I ain't gonna cuz you. That just ain't how I get down. You know, I'm gonna do the respect, right? But all the niggas was my real though. You feel me? Most of them, that was real hitters. You feel me? At the same time, that nigga Petey put the nigga name, Suge name in the song. That nigga said, hey, cut the music. That nigga went into the booth and closed the curtain. Right? I was like, what's going on? About 3 minutes later, the curtain over. Session over. Man, what the fuck you mean, session over? We just got here. Session was over. I don't know what that nigga went and said to that. But I guess he didn't want that nigga to say his name in the song. Period. Cut that whole session over. I ain't heard from Petey Pablo since.
Behind the glitter of awards, sold-out arenas, and million-dollar endorsements hides a much darker reality. Power in this world isn't kept with talent alone. It's maintained with leverage. And that leverage, according to countless whispers, is built at those infamous private gatherings hosted by the real shot callers. Insiders claim these secret events set traps that can later be used to keep artists in check.
Charlotte's DaBaby has had quite a start to 2019. His music videos have racked up millions of views, and his latest project, Baby on Baby, debuted at number 25 on the Billboard 200 chart.
I go where I want, good. Play if you want, let's do it. I'm a young CEO, sure, yeah.
The North Carolina MC started rapping in December 2014 under the name Baby Jesus, but ultimately ended up changing to his current moniker, DaBaby, a few years later.
God is great. He's the greatest. I'm just alright. I'm good. He great.
But did your aunt or your mama or your grandma
Oh, you know they
upset?
wasn't going fast.
Yeah.
They like, hold on, wait a minute.
Bitch, I think I'm baby Jesus, baby Jesus. Yeah. But you can call me what you call me, but what they call me.
And while he'd been rapping for a couple years before this, the NC native really started getting attention with his 2016 single Light Show off of his mixtape God's Work Resurrected.
Only young nigga in Charlotte is rocking a whole lot of diamonds. You making somebody too if your Cuban link costs 20,000.
Coming off the buzz from God's Work, he released Billion Dollar Baby and Back on My Baby Jesus Shit in 2017, which brought online hits like pull-up music.
You nigga jogging my stilo. Bitch, it's a brick, it's a kilo. I beat it up like Debo. This bitch got at me on the D-Lo.
Keeping the releases coming, 2017 also brought the beginning of DaBaby's popular mixtape series, Baby Talk, which had its most recent installment in May 2018 with Baby Talk 5.
Every probably like 2-3 months, boy, I take like 5 or 6 of the hottest songs out, you know what I mean, and I embarrass your favorite rapper. That's what I do. Question me, acting like the law, but you won't punish me. I see you tomorrow.
While his music began picking up steam online, so did his antics. At South by Southwest in 2017 in Austin, Texas, DaBaby wore only a diaper and some sneakers, which he said was for promotional purposes.
A lot of people like, man, you tripping, man, that shit. And I'm like, that shit is gonna go viral, bro. Like, I'm like, bro, that shit gonna go viral. Like, watch.
But whether he was in pull-ups or pants, DaBaby's personality won him more and more fans online. And by the next year, he was consistently dropping clever tracks and lighthearted music videos that were doing numbers, often featuring his favorite Lil Dan. His unique music videos have quickly become a staple of his career. He's tapped the video collective Real Goats for many of his comical clips, and some fans have drawn comparisons to Ludacris and Busta Rhymes. DaBaby's recent visuals for tracks like Minivan and Suge, both of which dropped earlier in 2019, have racked up tens of millions of views altogether. But for DaBaby, the numbers don't matter.
Petey, what's next for you? We saw you on the set of Empire, saw you doing your thing on Empire. Are you going back to the set, but you said you gotta go to LA first, actually.
Yeah, man, well, you know, I'm still writing music for the show, and Terrence is my brother, you know, and that's another thing. Again, I don't want to speak too much about it because, you know, when I get uneasy feelings about certain situations, you know, sometimes my mouth will put me in situations where I'll be walking around looking like I have lost everything in the world. Like, what did I just say? I did not just say that publicly, but I will, you know, and really don't mind it. But I mean, I understand that there are dire consequences behind some of the things that I say. But Terrence Howard is my brother, and there's nothing that man cannot ask me to do besides some of that stuff they do on TV. No.
Clear that up right now.
No, but that's my brother, man, and you know, whatever I can do to help him and the show, man, I mean, I'm always there, and you know.
Katt has hinted that what happens in those rooms must never see daylight, because once a young artist steps inside, they're marked for life, and if they refuse to play along, everything they worked for can vanish in a flash. If an artist goes along with the game, they might keep the fame, but they lose their freedom. It's a trap built so the industry always comes out on top, no matter what. This hidden system feeds on fear, making every success feel shaky and temporary. The sudden cancellations, the pulled deals, the shocking betrayals, all of it lines up with what Katt Williams has been warning about.
You know, the whole Terrence story, that was a whole story within itself anyway, because the reason that I got that role on Empire was, like Cherry said, I'm just that guy. I just so happened to run into Terrence Howard in the Four Seasons Hotel, and I was like, hey, what's up, man? That's Terrence, the Hustle and Flow. Oh man, what's up? He's like, man, I listen to all your stuff. He was like, even when I was on Hustle and Flow, he was like, I listen to your music. You know, he said I was trying to act like Petey Pablo, and that's crazy to me. You did. So I said, hey man, we all going out. What's up? You want to come out? And he was like, nah, man, I'm going through a little something right now, man. I lost my wallet, lost my credit cards and everything, so I'm just going up to my room, man. And so I was like, damn, you lost. So I reached in my pocket and pulled out 200. He was like, here. He was like, yeah. He was like, I was like, no, man, you just don't be walking around with nothing in your pocket. Like, here. And I gave him the money and I walked off. So fast forward, 13 years later, I get a phone call. And this is a couple years ago. He was like, is this Petey? I was like, yeah. He was like, first of all, I need you to see. He's like, this is Terrence Howard. I was like, damn, what's up, bro? I ain't heard from you, yeah. Last time, he was like, yeah, last time I seen you, yeah, something happened between us. And I need you to send me your address because I owe you some money. And I was like, nah, bro, you don't owe me no money. He was like, bro, send me your address or I'm gonna hang the phone up and and you'll never hear from me again. So I'm like, okay. So I give him my phone, my address. 2 days later, I get a check for $15,000.
Dang, what a great investment.
Crazy, right? Crazy. So I called him back and I was like, bro, he was like, listen, you do not realize that at that time, I didn't lose my wallet. He was like, I just said that because I was so embarrassed that I was going through what I was going through in life. And he was like, effortlessly, you just reached in your pocket and handed me money and didn't really even know me. You knew me from watching me on TV. You know, we had never had a conversation or anything. And he was like, and people that I've known for years had denied me at that point in time in his life. And he was like, and he was really in a bad place. He was like, for me to reach in my pocket and effortlessly just do an act of kindness that way, he was like, it changed his thought about life. And I was like, man, that's really crazy. He was like, now we got that out of the way. Now I need you to help me on this empire.
And it leaves people asking the same question. Just how deep does this rabbit hole really go? Take DaBaby, for example. His story is one of the wildest reminders of how fast the industry can flip on you. Just a few years back, he was unstoppable. Chart-topping hits, viral videos, sold-out shows. His energy had fans locked in. He built a brand that connected instantly, and his rise looked like it was built for the long run.
Jay-Z is setting Diddy up. Why is everyone having such a hard time? He ain't doing shit different. He lined up D. Haven, stole his life and identity. He lined up Big L, stole his life and identity. He lined up Dame Dash, stole his life, identity, and took his love. Lined up R. Kelly. He wants to be the one.
Yeah, shout out D. Haven. He actually hit us up, wanted to tell this story.
You need to talk to D. Haven.
We need to talk to him.
I told you that last year when I put you on the phone with him.
You did.
I want you to think about this. Allegedly, Sean Carter is responsible for enacting Katt Williams to put Aaliyah on a faulty plane to move her out the way as punishment for rejecting him, and so he could level up Beyonce, who was struggling. Let's just say allegedly that happened. Now, I want you to think about 106th and Park with Mary J. Blige. Free, who is a victim of Sean Carter.
Yeah.
Mary J. Blige, who is a victim of Sean Combs, are sitting there talking about the death of Aaliyah amongst each other. Think about that. You got a Diddy victim, you got a Jay-Z victim, and you got a superstar gone. They know what happened. And yet, they had to sit there and have that conversation like they didn't know who did it. Think of the power of that moment. Think about Claudia Jordan right now. Claudia Jordan don't ever mention my mother name. She mentioned it yesterday. Talking about why people are afraid to come forward. You mean like you? You was Diddy girl. Corey was Jay-Z girl. Why don't you claim your friend? Claudia.
So, Jack, when you say...
When I say Corey, I'm talking about Kathy White.
Oh, yeah. That's what I was about to ask.
Jay-Z's pregnant mistress,
yeah,
who died of an imaginary aneurysm. Just like the woman who was best friends with Kim and Kimura, who wrote the book Bling and died as soon as it made the bestsellers list. Who the was these people supposed to go to?
Then, almost overnight, everything flipped. Controversies exploded, festivals dropped him, sponsors cut loose, and radio airplay shrank to nothing. The public story was simple. DaBaby sabotaged himself with reckless remarks.
That's why I don't be going to them puffy parties. They can hug you from the front and the back at the same time. What you talking about? Look, if you into that, I'm fine with it. To get you some. I'm just saying this ain't my kind of party. I like it. It's uncomfortable. I think I belong in the girls' bathroom. Things like that is going on.
But insiders whisper something different, that he was being pushed to align with certain powerful figures and show up at elite gatherings he wanted no part of. When he refused, the hammer came down hard. The speed of the takedown was brutal, too sharp, too clean, too fast to feel natural.
In a shocking turn of events, federal raids on Sean Diddy Combs' Miami Beach mansion and a Los Angeles property have unveiled disturbing evidence linked to serious criminal charges, including sex trafficking and racketeering. Authorities discovered a cache of weapons, including untraceable AR-15 rifles and a significant amount of like ketamine and ecstasy allegedly used to control women during drug-fueled sexual performances dubbed freak-offs. The indictment claims Diddy engaged in a persistent pattern of coercing women and sex workers into participating in these events. Testimonies from former associates describe an environment of intimidation and fear, with Diddy allegedly using his influence to silence victims. As the trial continues, graphic evidence from the raids has captivated public attention, highlighting the serious nature of the allegations against the music mogul, who faces up to life in prison if convicted.
Katt Williams points to DaBaby's fall as a textbook example that in this business, careers don't always collapse on their own. Sometimes they're taken down on purpose. So the question lingers, was DaBaby truly punished for what he said? Or was he turned into an example for daring to resist the unseen powers pulling strings behind the scenes?
Did you ever have the opportunity where you got invited and you said no to it?
Hell yeah.
What was the consequences when you said no?
Puffy invited me for weeks, asking me to come and teach him how to, wanted me to be his acting coach for a while. Go there and he's sitting around just looking. I'm like, okay, what's the material you want to work on? He's just looking at me. Then next thing you know, okay, hey, will you help me? I want to hear your music. So I come over there and I play the music. And he's sitting there, just looking at me, like waiting. Okay. So then my assistant was like, he wants to hang out with you next week. And I was like, for what? He's like, I think he's trying to you. That's what my assistant said. And I was like, oh, Okay, now I get it. So now no more communication. Now you know to be hands-off with somebody. A number of producers come in to make the approach, and you threaten to punch them in the mouth, or threaten to knock their head off for talking to you like, or looking at you like you're a woman. You know, when you approach a real man about his masculinity, you're gonna get a real reaction back. It's a difference when a guy walks in a room and when a man walks into a room. And a man don't take the same things that a guy will accept. So always be the man in the room. And that's always been my whole thing. And I've lost businesses because I don't bend over in that way. I don't compromise. I don't play gay roles. I don't kiss a man. I don't do that because the man card means everything.
That mystery keeps fans split, sparking fiery debates and endless theories online. And DaBaby isn't the only case. Petey Pablo's story shows what happens when an artist refuses to play along right from the start. Back in the early 2000s, he stormed into the game with anthems like Raise Up and Freak a Leak. But his path proved just how costly it can be to reject the industry's rules. Petey Pablo was lined up to be a Southern hip-hop heavyweight. His tracks were everywhere, his album sales were solid, and even a Grammy nomination stamped his rise. But just as fast as he appeared, he vanished from the mainstream spotlight. Actor Terrence Howard, who knew Petey personally, has flat out claimed this was no accident. According to Howard, Petey started asking the wrong questions and refused to play by the industry's silent rules. He wanted to climb off pure talent and hustle, but in a system fueled by control, that simply wasn't enough.
You know, but when you lose your man card, that's the only thing I can think of. You lose your damn man card.
What is that? What do you mean by that?
You give up your ability, your right to being a man. A man don't take it, a man gives it. So when you give up that man card, you don't get that back.
Are you saying what I think you're saying?
No, I'm saying what I'm saying. You don't get that back. You come into this world as a man one time. You give up that right for anything, for fear of being hurt, fear of somebody doing something, for wanting to gain something. When you give up that man card right, you lose some spiritual energy that has always been pushing through. Like if a woman gives up her womanly right of being a mother and taking care of her family and do all those things. When you give up those things, but when you give up your manhood, I've never seen somebody recover from it. That was all the people that went to the puffy parties. That was all the people that did all those things thinking that there was never gonna be a consequence for what they were doing. Get punked out and pimped out by some greater desire. You shouldn't have a greater desire than being a man. So I believe that's a big problem with a lot of the actors out there because they get fluid. And next thing you know, once you go fluid, it's gone. You don't have any foundation to pull yourself back from. So maintain your man card, no matter what.
Man, I mean, you know, one of the things you're seeing, you went to a whole different place.
Sorry.
No, I get it. So you see some guys struggling with that. You see Bieber struggling with that. You see some of these guys struggling with that.
They can't get it out of their head. They can't get it out of their head. The things that they did, no matter how they did it, whether they were drunk or high or whatever, you gave up your man card. You need therapy. And that's the thing that hurts them the most. And so they end up every way to try and get rid of any principles there are. And that's what the business does. And the women that trade their bodies to go and get the role, they get to the point where they have their Oscar, they have their money, but they don't have their dream. They don't have the soul that they started with. So it's like achieving don't mean anything. If I get all the Nobel Prizes from doing all of this, but in the process I have to trade out all of my integrity to do it so that they can stay in place, what benefit is that if I lose my integrity? You got to go in as a principal. And what we were brought in here as men. We produce 1,500 sperm per heartbeat for a reason, because the aggression is necessary. You don't trade that in, no matter what.
So when legal troubles hit, Petey had nobody protecting him. While other rappers turned jail time into a comeback story, Petey got left in the dust, abandoned without a lifeline. His silence today screams louder than words, a chilling reminder of what happens when you stand against the machine. His downfall is a harsh warning. In this game, integrity might earn respect on the streets, but in the boardrooms of power, it can destroy you. And no talk about this level of control would be complete without looking at the moguls who sit at the top of the food chain. Names like Diddy, Jay-Z, and Birdman, often tied to stories of artists who skyrocketed only to mysteriously crash. Diddy has been surrounded by whispers for years about what really goes down at his infamous private events. They're painted as glamorous, over-the-top parties, but insiders claim there's something far more sinister. Former associates suggest these gatherings aren't just about champagne and music. They're setups built to secure loyalty through compromise. Katt Williams calls these spaces straight-up traps, places where young talent gets cornered in situations they can't walk away from clean. And the pattern is chilling. Artists who refuse to play along see their careers stall or collapse overnight, while the ones who stay in line keep their riches, but only by living under someone else's rules.
Just imagine I'm watching Petey Pablo in his car, and my brother, Big Spider, in his passenger seat doing this. And Petey Pablo letting him unscrew his earrings. Rest in peace, Del Dog from Main Street. If it wasn't for Del Dog pulling up, not demanding, but really politicking, pleading, begging my brother, because he had interest with Petey Pablo that he needed Petey Pablo to feel like, I'm safe with you, I was here with you. So Del Dog really pleaded to my brother to give him that pass, which was a very hard pass for my brother to get. But I just seen Petey Pablo sit there and allow a nigga to screw his earrings out and didn't do nothing.
Damn.
Am I lying, Petey Pablo?
Man, Suge just pretended like he wasn't around or didn't, because wasn't Petey Pablo actually signed to Death Row at one point or was gonna sign?
This is the thing. With Suge, it had nothing to do with Petey Pablo. It had everything to do with when he got with us. My brother, M.O., his whole interest, his approach was to ask Suge permission. Is it okay for me to get out like that around here while we're moving around? And just before it was even a Petey Pablo to think about, and my brother getting it like that, when nobody in particular was the person we're talking about, Suge kind of gave him the green light and let him know, I know how you get down, and when we moving, that's in the game too. You know, just don't be messy, cross nobody up, implicate nothing. Suge ain't robbing nobody, he ain't got nothing to do with it, but he was trying to let my brother know, I know how you get down, and when shit go down, if it go down, don't feel like I think you offending me or, backdoing. Green light, just keep it clean as far as don't have me crossed up. That was just the understanding. And Petey Pablo just somebody else, so that was just the understanding. Suge wasn't gonna let Petey Pablo feel like, oh, you watch me get robbed. Nah. Suge still gonna have a position with Petey Pablo like I'm at least try to see what I can do. And Suge was cool enough to where he might negotiate a few coins up out of Petey Pablo on our behalf for him to get them earrings back. It was that type of understanding. You feel me? So I'm just letting you know it's nothing new for that type to be going down. Like Petey Pablo, yeah, he was sitting there real comfortable, calm, letting the nigga unscrew his earrings.
This is why the same names hold power decade after decade. New talent comes and goes like clockwork. But survival isn't about skill. It's about obedience. The unshakable dominance of these moguls shows their reach isn't just about money, it's about structure. They shape the very foundation of hip-hop, and history shows anyone bold enough to defy them rarely makes it out unscathed. Some of the darkest allegations tied to the music industry revolve around what insiders call freak-offs. These aren't just wild after-parties, they're described as private, tightly locked down gatherings hosted by some of the most powerful figures in music. And according to multiple accounts, these nights aren't about fun at all. They're carefully staged setups designed to capture compromising dirt on everyone who steps inside. Katt Williams has hinted over and over that once an artist gets pulled into these events, they're trapped forever, controlled by whatever went down behind those closed doors. For young rappers, the choice is brutal. Refuse the invite and risk being blackballed, or attend and walk away with a career that might never fully belong to you again. And one name that surfaces again and again in these whispers, Diddy.
And I own, that's the young people. That is gonna f them up. I bought Petey Pablo's Diary of a Sinner. Petey Pablo, I love him. My kids, Dad, who is this country ass dude? He's a rapper. North Carolina, raise up, put your shirt off, twist it around your head like a helicopter. That's my cut, man. I actually took my shirt off. I've been caught up in this dog. Then he got Diary of a Sinner. I love the song about when he was down to his, he thought he was dead broke. I had scraping up change in the ashtray, 2 cigarettes. He didn't know how he was gonna make it. That song, I listen to that to this day before I go to work, because it reminds me. Because it ain't always been this way. You know, you can't get this life. First of all, it's a blessing. This is grace and favor, you know. This ain't, your life ain't really supposed to be like this. I ain't really done nothing to deserve this. This is grace. This God just gave me a lot of grace, man. I really, on the real, I take no credit for where I am today. You know, I work hard, I'm funny, but this life I got, this crazy.
Former associates claim he's been hosting these secretive gatherings for years, making him one of the key players in this dangerous game of power and control. DaBaby himself was rumored to have been invited into those elite circles, but he pulled back, and many believe that decision sealed his sudden downfall. The thought is chilling. In this industry, careers can be created overnight, but they can also be chained by secrets nobody dares to say out loud. These alleged practices cast a long, dark shadow, leaving fans wondering just how deep the exploitation goes, and why so few insiders are willing to risk confirming it publicly. Look closer at the stories of DaBaby, Petey Pablo, Shine, Memphis Bleak, and others. The pattern is almost too clear. A rising star gets identified, hyped up, and celebrated everywhere. But the second they push back, the machine tears them down piece by piece. Suddenly, scandals get magnified, legal problems blow up, and record labels that once rolled out red carpets vanish without warning. It's like a silent signal goes out across the industry: cut ties, let the artist burn, leave them stranded and alone. Katt Williams has been blunt about it. He says this isn't bad luck, it's a cycle, a deliberate system that builds power at the very top by destroying anyone who refuses to fall in line. The industry always protects itself. And the wild part is, fans unknowingly play along. By eating up sensational headlines without questioning who's feeding the story, the cycle keeps spinning, chewing up careers and spitting out artists like they never existed. The outcomes are too consistent to brush off as coincidence. The same script has been playing out for decades, proving the machine behind these takedowns is both intentional and deeply rooted. Katt Williams knows this firsthand. For years, he's been one of the few voices refusing to stay silent. And look what's happened to him. Arrests splashed across the media, bizarre public incidents, and constant labels of being unstable by mainstream outlets. He says it's no accident. These are weapons used to discredit him, to make sure nobody takes his words seriously. And whether you believe every claim or not, the pattern is hard to ignore. Anyone who dares to call out the system ends up painted as crazy, unreliable, or unhinged. For artists like Petey Pablo, the price was everything. His entire career wiped out. For DaBaby, it looks like the same fate may be closing in. And for Katt Williams, the cost has been years of non-stop battles just to hold on to his platform. The truth is brutal. This industry doesn't forgive rebellion. Every time a voice like Katt's gets silenced, mocked, or brushed aside, it's not just an attack on him, it's a warning shot to every other artist. Speak out and you risk losing it all. The fame, the money, even your name. The emotional and financial toll of standing up against this machine is staggering. It's a lonely fight that too often ends in ruin, as the system grinds down anyone bold enough to push back.
And I own, that's the young people. That is gonna them up. I bought Petey Pablo's Diary of a Sinner. Petey Pablo, I love him. My kids, Dad, who is this country ass dude? He's a rapper. North Carolina, raise up, put your shirt off, twist it around your head like a helicopter. That's my cut, man. I actually took my shirt off. I've been caught up in this dog. Then he got Diary of a Sinner. I love the song about when he was down to his, he thought he was dead broke. I had scraping up change in the ashtray, 2 cigarettes. He didn't know how he was gonna make it. That song, I listen to that to this day before I go to work, because it reminds me. Because it ain't always been this way. You know, you can't get this life. First of all, it's a blessing. This is grace and favor. You know, this ain't, your life ain't really supposed to be like this. I ain't really done nothing to deserve this. This is grace. This God just gave me a lot of grace, man. I really, on the real, I take no credit for where I am today. You know, I work hard, I'm funny, but this life I got, this crazy.
And yet, more and more voices are starting to hint at the truth hiding behind the curtains. Terrence Howard speaking up for Petey Pablo, Katt's relentless commentary, and the repeated stories of careers crushed all demand one thing: a real conversation about accountability in music before even more talent gets destroyed. But will the public ever wake up? Or will the machine keep rolling, erasing anyone who resists and swapping them out with fresh faces ready to play along? DaBaby's sudden collapse and Petey Pablo's erasure aren't just cautionary tales. They're proof that talent alone can't save you when the system's grip runs this deep. Katt Williams might sound extreme to some, but history keeps backing him up. Over and over, the same cycle repeats. Stars rise, resist, and then vanish. The real question is, how many more voices will be silenced forever before audiences finally see what's happening right in front of them? The only way things change is if listeners start demanding the truth, rejecting the polished, curated stories the industry keeps selling. Without that collective push, the cycle won't stop. It'll keep chewing up artists endlessly. And the stories of DaBaby, Petey Pablo, and countless others make one thing clear: the music industry is hiding a reality darker than most fans could ever imagine. This game isn't just about who drops hits and who flops, it's about power, leverage, and control. Katt Williams might be one of the few still bold enough to say it out loud, but his words leave us with a challenge we can't ignore. Do we keep swallowing the polished stories they feed us? Or do we start asking who really decides which stars rise and which ones get crushed? Drop your thoughts in the comments. We want to hear from you. Don't forget to like, share, and smash that subscribe button so you never miss the next deep dive. Until next time, fam, stay sharp, stay questioning, and we'll catch you on the next one.